What's going on, guys? Brandon here with Ravek. Today we're going to install this multi-function taillight on this Polaris Xpedition behind me. Installation is pretty simple on this. We're going to mount the light here on the back of the machine. We're going to route the wires into the cab and show you exactly where to route the switches. Let's get started. All right, first things first, guys, we got to figure out where we're going to mount our switches. We have a couple different options for switches here for a multi-function taillight. We're going to choose this left switch right here, as it's something that you can easily click when you're wanting to access your taillight function. We're going to have to route the wires from the back of the machine up to here, which is going to require us to do some disassembly. First thing we're going to do is take out the center cup holder here, or the center console area. We can reach underneath here, potentially, and take our knockout switch out, so that's where that switch is going to be placed. We'll now take and remove our driver's seat. This is going to gain access to where we're going to route the wires. Taking our T30, removing the 2 bolts that hold the seat down. Just put those on the floorboard. All right, we're now going to take and slide the seat ahead. That'll allow it to release in the back. Remove the driver's seat right out of the vehicle. And now we can gain access to our battery compartment down here. Using a screwdriver, we can take and turn that a quarter turn. That allows us to get access to our battery compartment. I need some fingernails. There's our battery. We're going to disconnect the battery just for safekeeping, and that's where we're going to make our connections anyways. Take this here, remove our negative battery cable first. Takes a 13mm wrench or socket. Take this over here. We're going to take our 10mm socket. Battery cable here. Just prevents arcing or anything like that can happen during install. Disassembly inside the machine is done. We'll be able to route the wires underneath the body and the frame of the vehicle to the rear. Let's go to the back and take the rear end apart. The next couple steps can be removing the rear of the machine, taking a T25 to take out both left and right taillights. That's what will feed this for its feed for left-hand turn, right-hand turn, running or brake. See now that we got our taillight loosened. Move the taillight. We can disconnect it. Our TY harnesses here that come in the bag. Doesn't matter which side goes where. They just simply jump in between the OEM connectors, like so. And again, if you have a turn signal kit already installed on your Xpedition, that's where this comes into play. Your multi-pin taillight bar will be able to function as running, turn, as well as brake. Just lightly slide those in for now. We'll do it on the same for the other side. This little pin here is going to be where you're going to make your connection to your rear tailgate light. Plugging in with the waterproof connectors, and I'm just going to lightly, gently slide that back into place. So to make it easier to take these off, you can either kind of force your screwdriver a bit in there, or you can come along the bottom here, take your T40s across the bottom, remove this back black piece, and allow clear access up in there. We're going to have to come back with a T40 and undo this one here by hand, but then we can take and lower this whole piece, this piece here, and install these bolts. So that little trick here, getting that bottom piece off, you can take and slide this out. That allows easier access to removing as well as the reassembly of this. Obviously, once we get this reassembled back in, we can take and slide it back. We're going to keep moving through the machine. All right, so we're going to go through here now and take apart just these lower pieces. We do not need to remove this black plastic piece, so just using our T40, we're going to back these out. What this is doing is allow us to split the tailgate to gain access to the rear of the camera, where a plug is for a reverse trigger wire. That way, when you put the vehicle in reverse, your reverse light comes on in your multi-function taillight. This is a feature that is only available with the North Star models and its Polarises, because they're the only ones with the reverse camera trigger. Okay. Flip this up. So you're going to see now that we've already removed our black trim here on the bottom, as well as this plastic piece, which holds the 2 parts together. Now we'll route the camera wire. All right, so what I've done basically is pried apart the back of the tailgate here. It just takes a little bit of pressure. This is your camera as well as your plug-in connector. We've disconnected your JSTs from the factory position, and plugged in line our JSTs. These are waterproof connectors. They give you a nice solid click. We have our extension harness that allows you to get out of the machine. This will route through the left-hand side, and then we'll route everything inward from there. All right, our next step is where we're going to be to mount the light. We're going to take this right above the camera there, right below the Polaris logo. We'll be able to center that into the center there. With the clips, you can always move it a couple inches one way or the other. We're going to clean and prep the surface with our alcohol wipe. The primer is going to be the next item that we're going to use to clean the machine. It is important that you allow this step to dry in between times. This is properly preparing the surface for mounting the light bar. We'll let that dry, and we'll come back and we'll hit it with our primer pad. Okay. Next steps, we remove this backing off the 3M adhesive. We've already got our spacing done out on these clips where we want it, so it clears everything. If I had a pair of fingernails, probably go a lot easier. Then what we're going to do is center this across the back of the machine, right below the Polaris, where we've already cleaned and prepped, and we'll be ready to go. There's that. And again, you only get one opportunity to align it in the center and line it up to stick it. So let's make sure we're there. I'm going to line it right up below the Polaris. Apply some pressure. This should be done at room temperature as well. There we have it. Okay, what I hold in my hand here is going to be the controller box for the rear lights. We're going to have to take and plug this in here. But first we want to be able to go through and make sure that we have this in a nice spot that is out of the heat or away from heat, as well as the moving components. So we'll locate that. We'll plug into the taillights with our rear connector and keep moving forward. So here's our 4-pin connector that needs to go into our JST connectors of both the left and the right-hand taillight. They are labeled, so we can come up here through the bottom to gain access up into the inside here. Right up in here, we've already removed the taillight. Here's our connector. Take and plugged it into the waterproof JST. That's it. Go to the other side, we can do the same thing. When we come back through the machine, we'll go through and tidy up all the wires, and that at the very end. That'll be your final step. So when you're routing these, you just want to make sure that you're routing them through a position that makes sense to where you can easily hide them. There's our JST connection. Again, those are waterproof connections. And we can go through and slide our taillight back into place. We'll go through and make our 4-pin connections, just aligning the groove there. Now the waterproof connection, just take and slide this up, and you'll be able to tighten that right on. There's that. Now we can go through again, thinking about which direction we want to route this, through the back side of the frame here. And then we're going to make the connection we just made in the left and the right taillights. So we've decided to take and route the box along through here. Really can't get it up over the top because the ADB does not have a dump bed. If you had a dump bed, you could take and route them up over the top of the frame here, zip tying them in place. We now have a 4-pin connector, which we'll route backwards to get across. Again, you want to make sure you keep it free of any of the moving components or hot areas like your exhaust. The top here. Right over the top of the heat shield itself, we'll be able to make this connection. Again, we're going to go through at the very end, tidy all these wires up to give it a nice clean look. Okay, now for the fun part, we've got to have the magic of routing wires. We've got 2 batteries that go to the positive and negative of the battery itself. And then you have one that goes to your reverse lead, which will make those connections now. I always find it easiest to take and route these wires. On this machine, the battery's right next to the switch, so we'll be able to take it, the connection's right from the battery right there. We do have our reverse trigger wire, which will need to be connected, and that gets connected into this harness right here. Here's our reverse wire. We'll take and plug that in. Nice waterproof connection there. And then we'll be able to take and connect the black to black and red to red here from our reverse wire extension. And then route the other end of this wire through the vehicle. This vehicle, again, is fairly easy to route wires through. Since the battery is located right here, we'll be able to reach your hand back up in to feed it through the center of the machine. We're now going to take the lead that goes into the switch itself. We'll come up over the top of the air box, back down and around. Our next step should be to take and route our connectors here up into the back side of the switch, which we have already selected. This is a pretty universal wiring kit. Some people may choose to shorten the wires or bundle them up behind the battery. It's really your call when you're doing the installation. This next section we're going to take and route through the left-hand side here up into this area. I have installed a little zip tie on the end of it here. That does help be able to get into some of the tighter areas and feed through. Just grab the zip tie here. Be able to push your wires through the area and pull them out where they get connected into the switch. Right there. All right, so this Polaris we're installing has their own proprietary switch and their own proprietary switch size. We do send the adapter that is needed for the install. Just simply slide the switch into the adapter. It'll clip into place, and now we can start making our connections. The first connection we're going to make is our ground connections, which is a common ground on one. Those go on the very top. Your next one down is going to be your green wire, which is going to go on number 2. If you're concerned, they are labeled so you can see exactly which one goes where. This one here goes on to number 2. And then your bottom one is going to be red. You will be left with one open pin. You want to make sure you slide these back in, and you should be able to read the Ravek on your switch. Slide this in and it'll clip it right into place. There you go. We can now make our battery connections. We'll start with that, and then we'll go through again and pull all this in and tidy a lot of these wires up in here. All right, we're going to go through. We're going to make a positive connection first, right onto the battery post. Take your 10mm. We can now do the negative. Swap out our 10mm for a 13. We'll tighten this bad boy up, and then we're ready for testing. All right, so we have the machine turned on. You can see the multifunction taillight is on right now. It does function with your taillights. We'll go through the functionality of it now. Left hand turn signal turned on, as well as the right hand. Give you a little bit of brake action. And reverse. So if you are looking for additional safety, visibility, and or a work light to the rear of your machine, this Ravek multifunction taillight will help you out in many scenarios. If you have any questions on it, let us know. Look us up online at ravek.com or check us out at your local retailer. Thanks for watching.